All right, good afternoon. Today I got my new computer in, so we're going to use this time to basically reset everything from scratch. So this is your first time seeing the project. You can follow the instructions here in the GitHub repo. I'll go through it myself as we go through this to see how these will work together. So that way you can start fresh. So if you're on Windows, you can follow this kind of step by step as we go through. Because we're doing this live, there will be some time when things are downloading, but we can go through each step along the way. You can see kind of some of the pitfalls. I can use this as a time to update the start guide. But this is, if you're starting completely from scratch, you'll be able to pick up and go from here and get started in your journey of reinforcement learning or using AI to really understand Pokemon Red. So the first thing here, it links you directly to Python 3.16 3.11.6 in terms of the specific version. The newer versions are a little bit different in terms of some of the changes in base Python. Some of the default packages that were there in the past have been depreciated, which means they're not in there anymore. And so it becomes more challenging to use the newer versions. 3.11.6 is not too far behind. They're only on 3.13 right now, so it's not too far of a time back. It's literally from the end of last year anyway, in terms of them maintaining. So it's perfectly fine to get started with. Even, just a little bit before this, I set up with Python 3.13. You can see that here. If you just type in where Python, this will let you know if you already have Python on your computer. And then you can check what version you have. So this is 3.13. And then if you need to, you can use this link to download and get started. And then when you're installing it, just make sure to add Python to your path is enabled. You may need administrative privileges to do this, but this makes sure that you can kind of call it by default when Windows is trying to run things. And then the next step is to install Git. If you click the link, it will go ahead and it will download it. So you see here, we've got the file. Click on it, it's going to try and install. So we're just going to install it to base. And then you'll see here, there are certain components that you want to make sure are enabled. So Git LFS is right here. That's already checked, so we're good to go. But just double check it yourself when you're doing this to make sure that you've got it checked. If not, just check it, make sure it's on. And then you can go ahead and hit next. We're going to call Git as the folder. That's perfectly fine. You don't need to really make any changes here. Just let it install to the default location. It will try and tell you to use Vim. Just have it as use Notepad as Git's default editor. You'll have this if you're on Windows, so you can just do there. And then the next step, just let Git decide. Next. So I put screenshots in here every step along the way. We're just double checking to see if anything's changed because I'd done this, I think, about almost 6 months ago now. It's the same thing. Use bundled OpenSSH. That's the same setting here. Use OpenSSL. We're going to go through and hit next. Check out Windows style. That's the first option here if you're on Windows. Then use Minty. Next. Use the default behavior for git pull. In here, it will select Git credential by default. Change it to none. Make sure enable file system caching is on and enable symbolic links is unchecked. I'm going to go through there. Don't have any of the experimental stuff, and then you'll want to hit install. While this is going, we're going to do this next part because you do need the Microsoft C++ tools, and it will take some time to get those downloaded in their entirety. So we have that. Where did my Git window go? Yeah, it took me off of it. Okay. So this is fine. We don't even need to launch the git bash, so that's done. Now we're going to go to the VS Build Tools. You'll get a pop-up here. Select yes to install it as administrator. Like I said, it will take time as far as the installations go, but we do want to let this run through the process. So again, we're starting purely from you have nothing installed on your computer. We're going to go there for the first time. So now we're here at the base installation. Let me pull up this on another screen so we can run through it. So we want to click here into individual components, and we want to search MSVC version 143. We want to scroll down. We want the x64 and x86 build tools. I don't think we've gotten, yeah, there we are. And then the latest here. So we want that as one selection. Then we want the Windows 11 SDK. And these are actually out of order. So you can just do the most recent one, just check. The largest number here will be the most recent version. That part is fine. Then we also do the same thing for Windows 10. Same thing, just take the most recent version of the build there. And then I'm going to go ahead and start the installation. This will take a little bit of time. It's downloading quite a bit in terms of the overall thing. Keep going. Matt says, hello, just a quick hello from France. Say keep going. You're doing a really good job, and I like following replays on YouTube. Well, I appreciate the comments. I love having interaction with folks during these, as well as it's nice to help break up some of the monotony of your thought process when you're going through and trying to figure out what's happening here. The goal here is to get to a state where we don't necessarily need a supercomputer to be beating Pokémon Red. Some of the other folks, they're renting AWS clusters and stuff like that. And unfortunately, my laptop just did not cut it. It's about, I've had it for 5 years, but it's been about 7 years old, like from the build time. And it just doesn't have enough memory to go through some of the longer phases of the build or of the discovery. We ran into issues, even just hosting the stream and trying to run the agents at the same time was causing trouble. So the idea here is that I will be using that laptop to still run the streams for the 4 agents going at the same time. And then the new computer can run basically the model research phases, and then we can push those over to the agents on the stream. So that way they're getting the updates as better versions are being discovered, just because it doesn't iterate that quickly. For example, I had the stream up for almost 24 hours. The agents completed just about 2 million steps, which in the grand scheme of things is not all that large or all that many steps. Each step is basically an action that they take in the game, but for 22 hours to only get 2 million, just by comparison, the best case scenario for what I had seen on my laptop was about 25 million steps in about a 24-hour period. So about 1 million steps an hour. Hopefully the new computer can almost double that, since we'll have about double the memory here. 8-Bit Oni says, Oh, cool. What do you use to run your AI agents? So we're using stable baselines stable baselines as the Python package that has it. It's using a PPO policy, which tries to maximize the reward functions that are built into it. And then we had been making adjustments to those in the live stream series here of like how to handle the trade-offs and rewards. I've seen a lot of people use N8N as of late. I have not done any experiments with that. PPO should be fine for what we're doing, and honestly, I can look into that a little bit more and see if we can use that to use it as a different policy. So I'm not sure what the differences are between that and the PPO policy in terms of how to handle those. The hope is that we can get it to get the agents to act a little bit better in terms of covering the map in Pokemon. It does a good job at finding things when they are at the edges of the screens, especially entrance and exits. But one of the big challenges with Mount Moon is that the main entrance and the main exit are at the edge of the screen, but the steps along the way are not. And then that led to some of the issues that we were encountering along the way, where it would just get stuck in Mount Moon, and eventually it would the agents themselves would die, and then we would lose track of them, or they would lose track of where they are in the map, and then they couldn't exactly find their way back through. I think it was 2 or 3 times ago, we had gone through and got it to a point where the random encounters were no longer happening in Mount Moon, but it was still getting stuck even without getting sent back to the Pokemon Center, and that was just because it couldn't find the stair locations along the way. So it looks like it finished installing Visual Studio build tools. So next, we need to then download the repo. So if we just come in here, last time I had just put them in my documents folder, which is fine. You just want to do git pull, and then this is the URL for the repository. So why isn't Git working? I wonder if I'm going to need a restart on the computer. Let's just double check that Git is here now. Git bash. Sure thing. And then if I do git pull, it's not going to let me paste it. Sorry, not git pull, git clone. That's why. Now that has pulled everything down, let's double check that it's here. So I go documents. What have I got? I think this PC. Users. Documents. There we go. So now we've got all of the base files here. And now you want to go make sure you're in the baselines directory, which we can do here. So cd baselines. Oh, sorry. You need to go to the experiments folder, and then to baselines. Now you can just copy paste this here. This is the part that's going to take a little bit while. Okay. So let's see, is requirements in here? The file should be here. So we have it in the directory. We got requirements. Cannot find. Oh, yeah, Git may not be in the path. So as far as path goes, no, I don't see it here. We do have Python in here, but we don't have. Let's see. Oh, Git's there. I wonder if this is just because I did not restart after installing Git. Windows is particularly temperamental. Well, let's try it from the Git bash. So let's now cd to great, and then there we go. We'll have to make sure to restart my computer after all of this, but now it's going through. It's going to do all the requirements here. There are very specific versions of the packages set. So as it goes through, you should see them install one by one. This will take a little bit of time. One of the things I do want to check here, because I don't know that I installed, I have not installed CUDA yet, so I want to make sure that it is not requirements here. I don't see it, so we should be okay. Jax lib. So we got to here. Let's go Python Jax lib. That looks like it's up to 5. What was the version that it was at here? Yeah. So all you have to do is go into the requirements and change that, save it, and then we'll go back to the git bash and you can just rerun the same command. You'll see it'll fly through the other ones because they're already here. Jim. Fine, looks like it flew through Jax now. That's why every so often it's good to come back and go through the files here, because sometimes the older versions may no longer exist. And so I can go ahead and update this then in the GitHub repo afterwards, so it's updated for anyone else that comes and finds this video or wants to get started. And then if you want to get started as well, you just need to go to the repo here. Oops. I know it's going to get wonky while I share that out. The model package util. Okay, yeah, so trying to install NumPy. So we go package util. So if we just do, if I do pip install yeah, if I remember correctly, it's just that it's no longer in a 3.13. Here it is. Same issue. So there we go. We need to do this. From here. Since it's already there. Let's do this. So NumPy. Let's try upgrading this and just see if we run into issues. Yeah, it looks like the part fine. Okay. Let's go back here. And we want to grab pip install requirements.txt. That won't work here. Pull up the wrong terminal. Paste. And off run it. May also run into the issue. Well, I already did matplotlib, so we're okay, I think. SciPy here, yeah. we may run into an issue when we encounter that, but let's just try going through here and seeing if this works. So right now we're just trying to install all the dependencies. All right, it's the same issue. Where are we at? Yeah. Okay. So not the first time that this has happened. Let's do this. Let's do this, and we're going to call this Pokémon Red, and then one of the things that we're going to add to it I actually have to install the 313 or sorry 311 because I had 313 before. So let's do that. We're going to install now. Make sure you add Python to path. Should be relatively quick. Just need to wait for that to finish. Great. All right. So we're gonna take this out because we need to do where Python, because we want to there we go. So we're going to need this path for the next step. So your version is going to be different, but where Python will get you to what you need here. So then you're going to do, well, first navigate to where your file locations are going to be. So in my case, here. Then I want to tell it to, we're using the virtual environment package to create whatever version, our virtual environment, so that we can use the different Python version. In this case, I'm just going to call it Poké Red, same as I had it before on the other machine. And then you want to do, let's look at where's our dash? I'm getting used to the different keyboard here. Dash P, and then paste that in there, and we're pointing it specifically to the 3.11 version. This will take some time, but then now if I go here, you should see Poké Red created, or whatever the name is that you gave it. So we see it there. And then to activate it on Windows, you just tell it the name of that directory and /scripts/activate. And now you'll see how it changed. We have Poké Red at the beginning. We're going to go to the baselines. And now we're going to use that same command from before. We're going to try and install all the requirements. And hopefully this will go through more smoothly now that this is set up with the 313. So it's going to use the cache versions of the stuff we had before, which should help streamline from what we had compared to the stuff here in the bash where we're running issues with 313. It was looking at conflicting. So I have to up SciPy to at least 1.0.1. That's fine. Save that. I see the same command as before. We're doing the exact same thing here. It's going to run all the way through. We're past SciPy now. Okay, it's going through. Now that I collected all of them, we're doing download and installs, which is great because now we're progressing beyond where we were before. So yeah, we're at Torch, which is great. I don't think there's a whole lot left at that point. We can close this. Now let's put them all together. And then I'll use VS Code here. And let's just pull up. Oh, it's not installed. Okay. Well, we'll get that ready while it's running. Download here. Okay. So I was able to install it. Close these out. We don't need those anymore. All right. So that is off and running. And then you just wanted to use the version of the code that I had. That was what I was pulling up VS Code. I just wanted to double check. Let's see here. Great. We're just going to mark everything done. I want to open up the folder. I'll go here. So you want to navigate to your folder. Remember, everything's here in baselines. So I'll put the whole folder. Trust the authors. Now you can see all the files here. I had put these here in the main folder, but they should also be here in the baselines as well, so that we can use them. So here's the what is it? So we've got baselines open. Okay. Yeah, so we're moving each of these into there. That way this will work correctly. You can see here from before. If you're running this yourself, you'll want to change the user here for who's displaying on, for what's going to display on the GitHub IO, where you can trap the map process. Here, I'm updating the number of CPU. This was set to 4 because that was the one I had streaming. I don't want to display the environments. This is what we're going to be using for training as it goes through here. This I don't have here, and this is what I was worried about. So you want to start from scratch anyway when you're going through these for the first time. And then, like I said, this is using PPO models. Another thing here was you could adjust the entropy coefficient just slightly if you wanted to. Realistically, you should now be able to get off and running. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to say Python. Then this is baseline fast v2.py. That's going to take a moment here to get everything spun up. Uh-oh. No module map lookup. Interesting. Let's come over to this folder. Let's see what this is. Oh, these are all the map locations. For some reason, it's not in my folder. What else would be missing? I hope not much. So let's go GitHub repo. I'm going to go into baselines. I want to add file here. Adding map lookup. Make the changes. Then I need that one. Get window again. Sorry, CD documents. Git pull. So now, if I come back here, it should have the map lookup.py, which should be fine. Let's see what else is missing. Stream agent wrapper. Where is that supposed to be? Let's go. Stream agent wrapper should be here. So it's missing from the requirements file. pip install. And let's go check that requirements. Yeah, WebSockets is in here. Web encodings is, but WebSockets is not. All right, let's see. Oh, what happened here? And the frame here, it never even started, huh? I tried to run Pyboy. Pyboy's installed. So that shouldn't be one of the issues that we're encountering. At least not what I would have expected to encounter here. Oh, that's the issue. I don't have the ROM file on this computer. Well, I'm going to have to remove my screen while I'm doing this. I'm sure you can find it on the internet as well. So let me see how I named this. I took out the space. Okay, and then which folder does this need to go into? It's the main folder, right? Let me check here. Yes, to the main folder. Okay. So now that magically reappeared back there. I think I can add this back to the screen. Now that we have that there, keep this off. I mean, compared to the laptop, in terms of kicking this off and getting to that error, that was much quicker than before. And it's already, yeah, I was trying to execute all 30. Use a WonDB account. Paste the API key from my profile. Okay. And I'll have to hide the screen. You don't have to have WonDB. on yours, it's just a great way to log your runs, so that way you can check them even if you're doing this remotely or you have it on another computer. That way you can check it. Like I can check on this at my work location just to make sure things are still running. That way you can make sure that it didn't crash or anything like that, because I have that a number of times, especially with the laptop being an issue. So let's see here. Okay, so pull this back up, but you can see now it's flying. We're talking. There's I think I put 32 agents here just to try and see what it's doing, and we're off and running. The computer's starting to run up a little bit more in terms of its energy consumption, but you can see here still quite a bit in terms of the overall space. I have not done the CUDA installation to put that in there, but I mean, even the best case scenarios before, this is getting 1,300 steps per second, whereas before I was getting like 400 on the high side. So we've got about like 3 times as much. So this means we should get it through like 25. No, sorry, we were getting 25 million before, so about 75 million steps a day, which will be quite the difference here. Looks like we're already off and running pretty well. So once you hit this stage, you're good to go. We did run into some small issues, but I'm working on updating the repo so that way things can be in the same locations. So that way you can just follow through this the same way as what I had here. The only thing you would need to do is to make sure you have your own version. Your own version of the Pokémon Red ROM file. And so I'm going to sync the GitHub repo, commit the changes. And there you go. So last thing before we end the stream here for today is everything should be now synced to the GitHub repo. You can see that this is off and running. What I'll do is I will slow down a little bit, which is fine now that we're getting to more of the iterations. So a little less than 3 times from before. I could probably add more agents to it, just given the RAM usage that I have here. You can see it kind of builds up and then it drops back down at the training stages. So we have plenty of wiggle room. We've not even maxed out the CPU, and then working to go through and actually set it up to use the GPU. We have a 4070 here. I have not, like I said, put any of this really to use yet. So it can still be far more quicker. I just have to get that set up. But this is just, if you wanted to use a CPU to do it, you can definitely do that, get off and running, and then have your own agents exploring the map. So that's all for today's session. What I will do on this, I'll end the stream and I will bring the learning agents back up just to see how they're proceeding on that version. And then it should be probably about 5 to 10 minutes for me to get that back up and running. And then we can continue to see how those are proceeding through here. So for those of you who came and chatted, thank you very much. I will be back online on Monday. We will be starting a new project series since we wrapped up the Big Data Bowl. And I've got the computer now up and running to have some, hopefully more progress reliably here in terms of the agents. So every Tuesday and Thursday, we'll continue doing the update series here. And then Monday and Friday, will be the development streams. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be experimenting with Instagram's API to try and do social media research. So the goal is to be able to pick hashtags, go through and understand like what are the best performing posts there, and then what can we take away from that and see how useful that is to maybe is there a process to manufacture a viral post, right? Because if it's something you can do regularly, that's when you really start to take off. And we'll see if we can use AI and machine learning to uncover those. So again, that's all for today. Thank you for coming. I hope you find this video useful. If you're seeing this on YouTube afterwards, or you're running into any issues, please leave a comment so that way I can update the GitHub repo with the updated setup documents, and we can keep people able to experiment and learn and explore in reinforcement learning. So thank you all and have a great weekend.